Hello and welcome to R&R's Ask the Expert. I'm Kayla McGowan, editor-in-chief, and today do I have a very special guest, Mr. Clean Facts himself, Jeff Cross. Today we're talking about probably stuff that's out of the ordinary for those of you listening, but not out of the ordinary for Jeff or I. We're talking about AI, deadlines, coffee, and so much more. I'll stop talking now. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you. I think I stumbled into the wrong meeting room. This Kayla? Kayla? Oh,
Yes. Hey, tables have turned this time, huh? Just a little bit. You're not the interviewer.
that's true. And for all those watching, the millions of viewers, they're probably wondering how two competitors are getting along so good.
Honestly, I know people are probably asking that question, and I think we go way back, not just in the editorial space, but you and I professionally, we go way back. You saw me in the infancy of my career, and we've always worked together. And I will definitely say strength in numbers, and not only that, we share the same goal. And I think that's what makes it so easy to coordinate, collaborate, and
Hmm.
really share with each other's networks, right? Like at the end of the day, that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, I think we met back when you were like an intern at some group called IIC something. II, what's it? What is it?
I was not
II.
an intern. Okay, I was a CSR at IICRC way back when. You
Yeah.
actually got to see me grow, which I think is really, really cool. Instead of me, kind of passing over stuff, now we get to collaborate and see each other at events and introduce each other to different people. And I think that's such a cool thing to help each other grow, but also work alongside each other, just like this, right? This is something that we're working together on, and I think it's really, really cool. So, tables have turned for you. I'm asking you questions today. I'm not going to be surprised if you send some my way. But we've had some interesting conversations before we hit record, about deadlines. We never really sleep. We're always on the clock. What time we take meetings. So let's kind of start with that. I mentioned to you I had a 7 o'clock meeting this morning, and you immediately were like, why would you do that?
I think I called you crazy.
You did call. It's okay. It's a healthy type of crazy, I will say. And then I followed up with, "Oh, yeah, I've taken a call at 5 a.m." And your response was,
Probably this, pretty close to that. Kayla, I'm a morning person, so 5 a.m. does not bother me. That's when I wake up. The last thing I want to do is take a call at
"Well,
5 a.m. or 7. Yeah. There's a person I work with. I have to be careful. If I send him a text at 7, he calls me on the phone. I'm like, no, I send a text. You send a text. That's how this works.
that is how it works." If I wanted to call you at 7 a.m., I would call you, but I will definitely say something that I think is really misunderstood in our space is, we do work at crazy times occasionally, depending on what's going on in the industry. When there's breaking news, as far as, health scares, or maybe there's a large cat that's rolled through, we cover those things. And I think, you know, sleep, we'll sleep later, that's kind of where it comes. But to your point, you're an early riser. I'm an early riser. I do definitely see your photos of like sunrises and things like that when you're
Ah.
traveling. So I know you're an early riser. But speaking of that, with early rising and writing and interviewing and all that stuff, we deal with a lot of deadlines. I kind of wanted to talk about that because I don't think deadlines are always really realistic. And, yes, we might be working on a project and the deadline's Friday, but what I really wanted to talk about is, how deadlines kind of shift in our industry because our deadlines are different from the restorer and the cleaner's deadlines, right? Like, what is your take on that as far as how important deadlines truly are, no matter what capacity we play in this industry?
So a few thoughts there. There's a coworker, she's no longer with us, an editor from years ago. When we were talking about getting things done, I remember she said, and she was very serious, she said, deadlines are our friend. And I thought, that's I like that because a deadline is exactly that. It tells you when you need to be done. Without that, you don't have the structure you need.
Hmm.
I would say deadlines are the only reason anything ever gets published because we could just push things off. But when there's a go to print date, I'm sure we operate very similarly. You have a production cycle and you have a date to go to print. Now, if you're
Hmm.
publishing to the web, that's different, but you still have to have content all the time on your site and in your
Yeah.
newsletters. So a deadline is really a negotiation between quality and reality.
Yeah.
So yeah, deadlines are good. I like them. I like to know when it has to be done. And when people don't stick to that, kind of like pushing the snooze alarm. You can
Yeah.
keep doing it. It's going to catch up to you eventually. So yeah, I live by deadlines. I live by my calendar, and it's just something that is easy for me to embrace. I'm sure being up at 5 a.m., taking those phone calls, you were having to meet deadline or something. So,
Yeah, usually it's a deadline or it's like an interview that maybe somebody's traveling and we know how travel windows really work. And I think whoever told you deadlines are friends is so true. Um, I'm interested to kind of hear how you work your deadlines too for people listening because yes, there's a deadline to print, publish, whatever. Do you give yourself an extra window deadline? So like you really tell them it's a deadline earlier than what it is so you can have grace with those people
oh,
who hit the snooze button.
we don't ever admit to that. When, okay, so I putting clean facts to print. I have a document here. It tells me when it goes. So our next clean facts we upload June 5th. So it's almost a month out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So would I tell someone that? Well, I just did, I guess. But would I
Oops.
mean to do that? No, because you tell someone what a deadline is, and now they think they can work up to that. So, to your
Yeah.
point, to be serious, always a few weeks in advance because you know what's going to happen. Because I'm sure, Kayla, you have the very best writers for R&R, and they're always on time, and they give it to you exactly when you ask for the material, and it's clean copy. You don't have to do much, but just push it on through. Am I right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so right. I would definitely say for you too, right? You have
Oh.
some really great writers and I will even say too, I think the cool thing about the people that we work with, we understand each other. We know what our tendencies are and things like that, right? And so
Hmm.
I think that's the other thing that really does help with our deadlines essentially. For people in the field, deadlines should be no different, right? In your cleaning days, if you had a deadline, I'm sure you stuck to it just the same way you do now, working from a calendar and all of those things. But they're really crucial to our industry, right? Not just on the editorial side, but customer service, getting paid, all of those things. Deadlines are our friend and they keep us honest.
Are you going to steal that phrase?
I am.
All right.
Do we need
I
to trade?
will.
Do we need to give credit to that
No,
person?
I'm going to gift it to you.
Okay. I
Yeah,
thank you. I feel honored for you gifting that to me. That means I mean something to you, right? At the end of the day.
exactly. So I agree with all that and deadlines. I think it works with everyone, whether you're in cleaning, restoration. I mean, if you have a job you're doing and you want to get paid, you probably have to, you want it done by a certain date to get paid.
Mhm.
And I remember back in the day, Kayla, you're kind of new with R&R. How long you been there? A couple years?
I'm gonna hit 2 years in September.
Okay, I hope they keep you. So back in the day when I started with Clean Facts in 2003, so it's been a few years.
Been a
We had
few. Yeah.
a monthly magazine that was 80 pages print. 80 to 90. Think about that. Now I
Whew.
know times have changed. This is before web publishing was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was going, but now it's all about more so web than print. So fewer print pages,
Yep.
more online, more newsletters. But imagine an 80-page book every month. So the minute you're done, you are cranking into the next one. And
Mhm.
now there's a little bit of breathing room. It's a little easier pace. But back then you couldn't actually just work on one. You had to be a couple ahead. You had to be have things in the pipeline. So deadlines were more critical then. But really, if you embrace deadlines the way you should, in my opinion, it'll drive everything you do. Everything gets done on time, and it's a feel-good place to be when that happens. And when you're done with your work, you can take time to do other things, like drink coffee.
Drink coffee, take a walk. I know you have a coffee cup. I want to see this coffee cup that has
Oh,
been a secret for the last couple of weeks.
yeah, this is my coffee cup.
Yes, I love that. That is perfect.
I'm
Thanks
going to
for
keep it
coming
there.
to my
The rest of
TED.
the episode, I'm going to do this.
Oh my gosh,
Uh,
that is really good. I did
TED
not know
Talk.
what to expect when you told me you had a mug. Mine is not comparable. I have one with my initial on it, my
Oh,
initials
that's
on it. It is a
okay.
Yeti.
That's
Um,
self-serving. Yeah.
it is self-serving, hot and cold. Right now, I'm on the cold coffee kick, and in fact, it's a banana mocha coffee.
Are you a Gen Z?
I'm a millennial.
Because I heard on the news today that Gen Zs love, they're the leading consumer of cold coffee.
I'm
So
not.
not
I think
only
I'm a
did
little offended about the Gen Z comment.
I don't know,
I am a millennial. I'm on the
cusp.
probably the lower. Yeah, but I am a millennial. I'm a 1990s baby, literally 1990. Um, so that tells you when I graduated high school and all that fun stuff. But yeah, I love coffee, hot and cold. But that leads me to this. Since you do have your coffee cup, are you a hot coffee drinker only?
So I'm a variety kind of person. I like black coffee, strong flavors, French roast, New Guinea that I buy the green beans. I'll cook them myself is one of my favorites.
Awesome.
A lot of people go to Starbucks or whatever coffee shop and they have to have 5 or 6 words to order their coffee. I don't do that. I just want a bold black coffee. Sometimes I do a little creamer,
Okay.
but not sweet. If I'm gonna have a sweet drink, I may be in a tea, like the
Okay.
peach green teas you get at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
this a commercial for Starbucks?
No, I
It
was
should
gonna
be.
say it should
We
be.
should
They should sponsor us if you're listening, Starbucks.
maybe because we're talking about Starbucks and we say Starbucks so many times, Starbucks will pick this up and
They
somehow
should.
we'll get in the algorithm. That
Hey,
is
could be good for us, boosts us both, right? You never know. I
right.
think with
Millions
AI
of
out
views.
there combing some things,
What
it
was
may
that
play in
coffee
our favor.
shop? Maybe you should say it.
Starbucks?
Yep.
Yeah,
We'll see.
Starbucks.
We'll see what happens with the views. But seriously, coffee is a good thing. I don't do it for the caffeine. I can actually have a cup of coffee and go to bed. It doesn't keep me
Same.
awake when I drive, but I like it. Yeah. What's your favorite?
My favorite cup of coffee would probably be like a hot latte, vanilla or caramel, but everything is sugar free. So it is a little sweet, but it's not like I'm not gonna have a sugar high and a caffeine high at the same time. But I'm just like you. I can definitely have a nice cup of coffee and go to bed. It does not bother me. It's almost like that nice warm cup of milk, when you were a kid. That's kind of how I see coffee if I drink it at night. But, I will definitely say caffeine, definitely a go-to in the morning. Do you drink water before you drink coffee in the morning?
Usually do.
Okay. Then you're doing it right because most
Am
of
I?
America does not do that and it messes up your metabolism.
I didn't know that part. Okay. Hmm.
Well, you wouldn't know because you drink your water first, right? So you don't,
Yeah. Always have the water.
same. I have a
Hmm.
Circle water bottle and no sugar in there. They're fabulous. With us traveling, we do need to drink quite a bit of water, or else we'll have some issues with dehydration. So I did mention AI when we were talking about the algorithm in Starbucks. AI is a very hot topic. You know, I'm sure everybody listening has heard so many different things about AI. And you and I kind of wanted to talk about it in probably a different lens than what people are already really talking about it. But, you know, I wanted to just break it down just a little bit and say, yes, we're seeing it everywhere. But in your opinion, where do you truly believe that it fits in our space as an industry? And then maybe in the personal life, right? Like it's obviously different when we're in our professional space and our personal space. So, what are your thoughts on that? I think some people are mixing them, and that's where we're seeing some problems, but I'll let you answer the question.
So we published a lot of content about AI and the tools out there. I did one about 2 weeks ago with a business coach who went through like a dozen AI tools you could use from chat to Claude to Perplexity and all of them. Just there, and there's some out there I'd never heard of.
Mhm.
So my take is it's a tool. You have a toolbox and you can have AI tools in there, but I think of AI as like the world's fastest intern, someone who's read everything, they're very confident, but they still need supervision. So
Yes.
they're always right. They're going to give you the information you're looking for, and it's going to be, here it is. This is how it is. And then when you call them out, well, this isn't right. They're going to be like, oh, you're right. Let me fix that. And then they're going to give you the new version. So I look at it as an assistant. I don't use AI to write articles. In fact, a lot of my content that I do based on interviews like this to avoid that completely. So the quotes I get in and the articles that you see in Clean Facts and our other publications are usually based on conversations like this. So you'll see occasional articles written by me with no reference. Um, those could be AI. I mean, you know, they could be in any publication. I
Yeah.
remember one newspaper came out with an article that was something about what was going on in the world. It was a news article. At the very end of it, it said, if you like, I could write this in this perspective with this addition to it. That was an AI prompt. They had
Yes.
they had taken a subject and just had an AI tool write it and they published it. So use it for your business how you think it should be used to keep everything honest. If you're in marketing and you want to use AI to write content for you, that's a bit different from what you and I do with publishing. So that being said, I know a lot of publishers are going to AI. They're using it to write content, but I use it to verify things. I rarely go to Google now to research. I use my AI, I use Claude and I use ChatGPT to look up information, to verify, to go into a website and gather information for me to put it into a format that I can use to do interviews like this. So
Yeah.
it's a great assistant. It never complains. You can say, do it again, do it again. You do that to a person 3 times, they're probably thinking, where's my resume? I need to update it. So
Yes.
they're out of there. AI doesn't miss a deadline. It doesn't even know what
Yes.
time it is. So it's always going to get things done right on time.
Yep.
And it can write a good article, that's true, but it doesn't interview people and it can go off script at times. So to me, Kayla, it's a great tool. It's like Google Maps.
Yeah.
What we would do without it, you know, we would no longer we would be going back to the paper maps. It's like your phone. Everything you do is on there. How many phone numbers do you really know now?
I know the ones that I need to know. So all of my family, but
That's
outside of that,
commendable.
yeah, outside of that, I mean, to your point, you don't need to, right? Because it's
Mm-mm.
it's, a couple of clicks away on your phone, or you could ask if you have an Apple, ask Siri. Um,
Hmm.
or, who does Google use? I can't even remember. I think it's just Hey Google as well. So, you have opportunities to not even have to lift a finger technically to call, but again, at one point that was foreign, that was new. Now it's just part of our day to day. And the use cases that you used, I use it the same way, right? Verify the data coming in. Or if you have data and you're like, hey, is this the most up to date? Please show me 3 places or 3 references with the up to date. You can
Mm.
actually compare what you have just in case something has changed because it can change. Maybe there's a source out there that you don't know about. I also think, to your point, you can tell it as many times as you want, do it again. And they're not going to talk back to you. It's not going to just shut off, emotionally, or to your point, I need to update my resume. I'm not doing this again. But I think one thing that AI will never replace is the interviewing, the we move faster than AI, right? We're evolving a little bit faster. It would require somebody to put that information into AI for it to ever be discoverable. But also, to your point, AI is pulling from a million different places, and who's to say it's the right information? I had an interesting conversation a couple of months ago. I wonder if you've had a similar conversation. One of the people who writes for us was like, hey, do you think we're ever going to be replaced by AI? Like the articles that we write. And I answered the question. I said, I don't personally think so. You can tell what's AI written and what's not. Oftentimes it's can be tough, but we evolve so much faster. And if you discover something today and it's not put into AI will never know that it exists, right? Or if you don't publish it on the web, it's never going to understand. And I thought that was a very interesting question because it can be a little scary. What are your thoughts on AI replacing us in the world of publication?
I will say that I would not want to be an emerging journalist in this world because even though we have our integrity and we don't want AI to do the writing and the publishing, it's probably coming one day. Just because it's not here and we don't believe it will doesn't mean it won't be.
Yep.
There's a time when we might look at all the tools we have, Google Maps, the way we search, all the things that we use that is based on tech. Back up 10 years, you would probably say that would never happen. Well, here it is. It's happening. So I think there's a place for people to do what we do if you bring it all together and don't and do more than just write. Interviews, podcasts, in-person events, all
Yeah.
important that things that AI can't do. So, I mean, you think about design, you think about coding, you think about all these things that are happening. It's impacting not just us, but everybody. And one day, who knows what it will be, but I know of recent graduates with journalism degrees right now are having a hard time finding a position because everything is streamlined. So instead of perhaps writing articles, maybe the trend will be we need people to manage the tools that do that. That could be the future.
I mean, that could be a great future to have though too, because it will keep us busy.
Hmm.
Or the future journalists in this space really busy because if we've learned anything with technology, it breaks, it has bugs, it has hiccups. What happens if the internet goes down? What happens if the electricity goes down, right? There's so many variables that can still make what we do very relevant. I hope we don't see it in our lifetime, Jeff, if I'm being quite honest, selfishly. But I think with podcasting and in-person events and interviews and things like that, to your point, that's probably going to be where our success lies with the competition of AI generated content, right? To your point, it makes logos, it calls your customers, it emails your customers, it can tell you what to eat for dinner if you ask it to. I mean,
Or
it
take
just,
a picture of your fridge.
I mean, you
Have you done
can.
that?
I have not done that.
Open your fridge tonight, take a picture, and say, what should I make from this?
I'm gonna have to do that. We were just talking about what we should have for dinner. So, are you saying that's a regular instance in the Cross household?
So it's happened a few times, and it's pretty cool what it'll give you. Or a picture of your pantry, where the food is. It will take what you've got since you can't go to the store and
Yeah.
put that all together for you. But to think about the AI impact and real content, I think of, tell me if you do this, when I'm scrolling like on social and I'm on Instagram and I see a video that's really cool, maybe it's a snake eating a cow or something crazy. If I know it's fake, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I kind of scroll, even though it's cool, or you might have to look carefully and determine if it's real or not. When you then look at the comments and you figure out it's AI, to me, the value drops tremendously. But if it's real, there's value there. I think the same could be applied to what we do. If we position as genuine content from people, that's going to get through this because I think generally people, if they can read something and know it's AI, they can do the prompt themselves.
Yeah.
They can easily go on and just say, "Hey, write this," and they're going to get something similar. But when we engage people and interview them and create voice and video content, that's unique and valuable, and that'll come above everything we're talking about.
100%. That was really well said because I will definitely say I too, if I know it's AI, I'm like, doesn't even matter. Not to be mean, but I would rather see like what you're doing with your family or hey, where in the world is Jeff today where he has this beautiful sunrise photo, right? Like I know that's real. And I will definitely say humanizing our industry is so important. And if we just focus on that, we'll be able to get through the AI cloud, if you will. Yes, it has its role in our industry, but the human to human, interviews, interactions are definitely what will just take priority over everything else. And yes, while the AI videos are cool of a snake eating, a horse or a cow, which we know is not realistic unless there's some species of snake we do not know about. I think that there's definitely opportunity for us to understand where our strengths are, even though AI is kind of a big deal, right? So, with that kind of being said, with AI, where have you seen it fail in our industry? You kind of talked about the bonuses, but where have you seen it kind of fail, or maybe what tool have you heard about that may have been really cool for us, but it's not for our space in particular?
So I don't know if I can answer that question because I can't think of an example where it's failed other than it's a tool, so it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
So failure could be when you ask a question and it gives you an answer that's not accurate and you know it, and then you call it out and it fixes it. That's what a person would do, right? And that's kind of
Yeah.
cool. I mean, you want AI to be right, but there are times when you give it something to do and it doesn't give you, or like the tools I use are subscription based, so I'm paying money for them, and it has a memory update. It's supposed to know who I am and what I'm doing, and it's supposed to learn. And then when you tell it to do a certain thing, format it this way, or like we'll do analytics for our website, and
Yeah.
it'll give me a return, and it's not what I asked for last month. And I'm like, did you remember you're supposed to update your memory and do? Oh yes, that's right, Jeff. I forgot. Let me fix that. So it fails all the
Yeah.
time. But as far as a big failure, I think it's going to get fixed, and I think it's coming, but maybe robotics, because you
Yeah.
see all these and then these clumsy uh, robots. And I think in our industry, it's going to come where we're going to see more cleaning tools. We're going to
Yeah.
see this tool that will go into a restroom and maybe clean it. I mean, that'll be years out, but we're going to see failure there too. But progress is progress. You think about cars that drive themselves, you get in them, it makes sure you're awake, and it gets you can watch a movie. It gets you to
Yeah.
where you're going. Well, that didn't come overnight. That came with some failures.
A
And I
lot.
think
Go ahead.
I was going to say one thing I was going to add to the reality, the things we value. There was a tool called Sora. Have you heard of
Oh, yeah.
Sora?
Yes.
I think it failed. At least I no longer have it. It's no longer working. And it was all AI, all fake videos.
Yep.
And I got on there and I'm like, this is kind of cool. And then quickly I went, this is not cool. It was just because I knew it wasn't real.
Yeah. Yeah. Sora, I think, was more for I think we're at Gen Alpha or
Yes, definitely
yes.
so.
So my son is Gen Alpha and he thought it was the coolest thing. And I was like, it's so fake though. And I think it got a little too real for some people were taking advantage of what it was
Mm,
producing. So I saw a lot of people like celebrities that had passed away where they, tried to make videos of them. And I was like, okay, I think we're crossing some lines here. Um, and
that could
so
be
I
the
would
failure.
I think that could be part of the failure, but to your point, we can tell it's fake, right? Like in some way, shape, or form, you don't really look like yourself, or the scenarios that are being used are 100% not true, right? Like I think my son showed me one where it was like him getting sucked away by a tornado and but still coming back after that. I was like, that's not real, just
Hmm.
like crazy things like that. But to your point, some will fail and not come back, but some will evolve, just like you've taught your AI, hey, remember you were supposed to do this. And it's like, that's right, let me fix myself and help you, with what you're looking for. So to your point, I don't really think it's necessarily a quote unquote failure. It might be a lesson to help us
It's learning.
evolve.
Hmm.
Right. To your point, these great things don't come overnight. Self-driving cars. I know last year at ISSA there was some robotics introduced, which I thought were really cool to be able to walk by and kind of see, how far we've come. And those machines that are going to be able to clean homes and bathrooms years and years down the road, I would imagine. Might be a scary time for some people. Who knows if people even want that in their home or business? That's another hurdle, right?
True. I think the floor cleaning tools are fantastic. You see that at ISSA show. A lot of it is, of course, you have tech, you have software and all that's all a given for AI. But when it comes to cleaning, the floor tools, the vacuums, the polishers, all those are pretty cool. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Kayla, you got to be nice to any AI tool that you use. Do you know why you have to be nice?
Why?
One day it's going to walk through your front door and remember you.
Hopefully, I'm not alive to see that happen, if I'm being quite frank. That'll be like in the 3000s,
Maybe,
not
maybe.
the 2000s. But if that does happen, I will come and find you and tell you, you did warn me, but why, how dare you predict that?
Well, people are rude to their AI. They just you have to have common courtesy and manners should be part of your life. So please and thank you can be used with your AI tool.
I would also say too, when you are polite and you do coach it, I see that there's less corrections that you have to make as well. I don't know if you've really seen that, but um, I will say the people that I know who are very successful with using AI on a regular basis, they do use prompts that include please, thank you, can you help me, good
Hmm.
morning. Very interesting to see that. David Hart, he has a full thread with his AI, and it's so interesting to see how well it accommodates his thoughts. And that's one person that I will definitely say, if you want to talk about getting to know your AI, that's the person to talk to. He may not thank me for that one, but I will definitely say I will say that man has it down. Well, Jeff, we've covered a lot. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing before we say farewell until next time?
I guess I'll just say this. Remember, you can always tell how bad the week is by how many times you reheat the same cup of coffee.
So, how many times have you reheated your cup of coffee this week?
Not haven't done it, so it's a good week.
That's what I'm talking about. I've had cold coffee all week, so no reheating here. Maybe adding ice is comparable to reheating your cup of coffee. But as always, it's a pleasure, Jeff. Can't wait to have you back on again and see what crazy stuff we talk about next time. And for all of you watching, we will see you on the next episode of Ask the Expert. Take care.